Tying up another wet fly from Ray Bergman's book Trout today. This is called the Butcher. A very simple little kind of basic fly. Has a nice matched wing, or I should say matched tail in the back, and a floss body, even a floss rib on this, but there's no wing or throat. There's just a collared badger hackle up front. So if you're just getting into doing some of these wet flies or something, this would be a great one to kind of get started with. I think you could probably get away with, instead of the badgered hackle, maybe just using the, maybe even a small grizzly. This is a dry fly hackle, so you could do like a grizzly dry fly hackle, and or maybe just a brown. But that's the Butcher. I'll get started tying. So I'm going to start the Butcher with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 in a size 6, just a standard wet fly hook. I'm going to debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my white thread. There is a floss body on this, so I don't want to darken it up. I'm going to use some Danville 70 denier in white. I want to go ahead and put some wax on that thread. There is a tail on the Butcher. There is no tip. And then there is a floss body of red and a rib of yellow. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. I'm going to advance it down to the end of the shank. That's where I'm going to put in the tail. The recipe for the tail calls for scarlet. Generally, that's a quill. It's a quill tail. You could use duck if you're using a smaller size hook. I'm using some goose here, but I'm using some red. I don't know if that's the same as scarlet. I think scarlet's just a little brighter, and but I don't think they make it. At least I haven't found any in my searching, and I don't know if that's the issue, that the scarlet usually is a little brighter, or just the industry now just doesn't do it and they just do red. So anyway, I've got my left and right slips cut out from my goose. My left one, which his face is on my side, is one barb wider than the right one. So I'm going to cull that out. Just get my bodkin in there and take out that one extra barb. You want the tail, I got my tips even. You want the tail to be about, I generally go from behind the hook shank right here, or behind the hook eye, I mean at the front of the shank, to about the bend. I like it a little bit longer, but I think hook shank is generally what's looked for. I'm going to secure that in. Actually, my thread crept forward there. I'm going to secure that in rearward. There we go. And I'm going to trim this the length of the body, maybe a tad shorter. Make certain that's up on top of the hook shank. I'm going to tie in my yellow floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand yellow. And I'm just using 2 strands of this for the rib. There's not much to this fly. There's a rib, the tail, the rib, floss body, and just a collared badger hackle. There's no wing on this. Now for the body is going to be a red floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon in red. Secure that in. little wax on my thread. Advance my thread forward to the end of the body, then apply the floss body and the floss rib. Now right here, sometimes you'll find, I think my tail just kind of got pulled over because of the tension of putting those materials in and everything. So just, you can still scooch that around at this point. So double check that just before you start really wrapping all of this in. That way you can correct that before you get it really, really secured in. A little bit more wax on my thread. Now I'll apply that red floss and then the yellow rib. With the floss body and the rib in, as I said, there's only the hackle that is on this. It's just a badger hackle. There's no wing. There's no throat. I'll advance my white thread forward. I'm going to change over to my finishing thread. This is a Danville 6/0 or 70 denier in black. Trap down the white, trim away the tag and the white thread, and then right at the back of the headspace I'll tie in a badger hackle. I'm using just a dry fly badger hackle that I have. It works out very, very well. The hackles, the barbs are kind of stiff on them, but I kind of like that. What I'm looking for is some barbs that are going to end up being about 1.5 times the gap of the hook on the very, very outside. Cut away the tip and isolate that a little bit, and that's going to be my handle for tying this in. My thread right up front there, I'll take my hackle pliers. Probably get about 4 wraps in here. Being dry fly hackle, it's going to be a little, look at least a little sparser. So I'm going to put in just a little bit more. It's a 3rd wrap. We'll get a 4th wrap right up in here. Catch that in. Sweep all of this back. Start making the head of the fly. Doesn't have to be really big. I can pop away the rest of that. I'm going to flatten my thread. Put in my whip finish. You could probably get another turn of that hackle if you wanted to in there. I think this is going to be a nice representation of some little aquatic bug. So I will put some head cement on that to secure all those thread wraps, and then I'll come back and put 2 coats of a clear lacquer on there, a nice base, and then a coat of black lacquer. Then the butcher will be all done. Pretty little fly with the reds and the yellows in there. That's the butcher. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.